I look around this room and I look at a lot of you as you move through your life. And yesterday, of course, I had the opportunity, of course, to spend some time with Isaac and Bailey yesterday evening with her parents. And just some of you walked in, so my daughter-in-law is having a baby, and Isaac, they're having their baby today. She's having to have a C-section because she's literally sideways sitting there like this in the womb. Anyway, point being is, she keeps expressing, I saw a text even last night that she was expressing to my mother, Jeannie, who many of you know, just her concerns and how scared she is, and she's nervous, and whatever, obviously it will be fine, but just the unpredictability. And I was just reminded, just for any of us, because I see a lot of us in here who have gone through a lot. Some of you I've known for a lot of years, some of you a short time, but even then I know you're going through stuff. And if you haven't heard me say this, in fact I haven't said it for a long time, months, maybe even, but just as a reminder, just treat everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their life, and you'll probably be right. Just remember that. Treat everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their life, and you probably will be right. And I used to think that it was 50%, but my observation is people are always going through something, whether it's a health crisis, whether it's something in a relationship or relationships of either people they have been close with or people they aren't close with that are going through a very difficult moment, or third, of course, is the economics and business. So just remember, if there's anything you can be kind. And I think sometimes we forget, we think everybody has everything dialed in. I had a good mentor and friend of mine one time asked me, or I said to him, I can't believe, why would Andy be doing that? Why would Brenda Lee do that? And he said, why are you asking that question? That's not a very smart question. And I said, well, what do you mean? And I said, maybe a better question would be well, why wouldn't they do that? And it always is, that was years and years ago when that came to me, is that the reality is all of us do things because typically either our environments, our culture, our past, our experiences, and we do what we do. Maybe it was even trauma, from drama to trauma, whatever it may be, but we do certain things in our lives. And the whole point is to wake up just a little bit and maybe just ask yourself why you do what you do. Because I don't think there's anybody in here that doesn't go, why do they do that? When we're looking at someone else. Maybe again, a better question is, well, why wouldn't they do that? When you start looking at the way they were raised, or what they were growing up in, or the circumstances they're dealing in the past or currently, why wouldn't they do that? And for some reason, for me personally, it's always kind of just softened the blow when I watch people do, let's just even say, dumb things, mean things, cruel things, wrong things, at least from my perspective. And so just as a reminder, again, treat everybody you meet. So with that, just as an idea, I just want to remind you, and you can imagine this morning as I was driving here, I did a little daily message, but it was to my own son. And it was just a reminder to him, not only for himself, but also for him to remind his own wife. And that was, just remember, you have the stewardship and the responsibility. If I'm a leader in business, my job is to get you to focus on the right things. If I'm Brendan and I'm sitting with a client, my job is to get that client to focus on the right things. No matter who I am, if I'm a great leader, I will get people to focus on the right things. Now, we could argue as to whether you think what I'm getting you to focus on is the right thing or wrong thing, but it is still your number one job as a great leader. So when you sit at that listing appointment, or you're with that buyer, or you're trying to get a price reduction, or you're focusing on calling that lead, ask yourself, are you a good enough leader? Are you awake enough to get people to focus on the right things? One of the things I've observed in leaders is they go, someone walks into their office, and just tell you, it's my pet peeve of even our brokers, so please don't be offended, but agent walks in and they go, well, they said they want to go. I gotta respect that and let them go. But great leaders would get people to focus on the right stuff. Do you know how seldom an agent leaving this company wants to sit down with me
Never.
before they leave? Because I will focus on asking them questions to focus on the real problem. And I will tell you that I observe over and over again in leadership of humanity that they just let people make huge mistakes, dumb decisions, and they then say, but I just wanted to show them the respect that, well, you know, if I said to someone I wanted to do this, well, then that's what I would want to be done. I want them to respect what I said. Really? So if you're running towards a cliff, well, they're running towards the cliff. That's what they want to do. It's okay. I mean, they're going to drive off of it, but it's fine. Is that the leader that we are in this industry? Whether it's a broker, a manager, whether it's a recruiter, whether it's a loan officer, whether it's someone in commercial, whether it's someone in residential, whatever it is, do you just let people run off the cliff? Because your inability to ask questions? Because the key to being a great leader is to get people to focus on the right stuff. But yes, you can just tell them, I can say, Brendan, focus on this. Or I can say, Andy, let me ask you a question. And the issue is that I watch so many leaders in the industry of sales not get people to get on the right focus, but the only way you do that is by asking people questions. But here's the real challenge. You have to believe in what you're talking about. You have to believe in where people are going. You have to believe that you know the right direction for success of whether it's a for sale by owner, an expired, an internet lead, a buyer, a seller, it doesn't matter. An agent, your job is to get them to focus on the right stuff. And so if you're not doing that, it's most likely you're not having a lot of success in this business. And that's not a criticism, it's just a fact. And so the key to being great at this is your ability to get people to focus, but the only way you get them to focus, we're just talking purely about a skill set. And by the way, how many of you have kids? Jay, you got kids, right? Your whole job is to get them to focus on the right stuff. If you're a great parent, is to get them to focus on the right stuff so that you help foster, a smart, contributing, not a non-contributing zero to society, because you get them to focus on the right stuff. But it is one thing I can sit there and yell and scream, let's just take like an Isaac, or I can ask Isaac a series of questions that gets him to focus on the right stuff. And you say, well, what's the right stuff? Well, it depends on the situation, right? But it's pretty simple. If we were talking about someone's health, well, we know what the questions are. We're talking about their financial health. If we're talking about their business, if we're talking about their relationships, think, what questions would you ask? When you know someone is driving right towards the edge of a cliff, are you going to say anything? Are you going to actually say something? That's what great leaders do. They go, whoa, hold on. And then they start asking a series of questions. Again, and maybe in that moment, it might be the raise in your voice. It might be the intensity of the moment. It might be you just telling them. But in most cases, people don't make really big decisions in their life and effectively do it when it's not through a series of questions. So remember, it's the questions that confront people effectively. So just as a reminder, if I'm leading a team or I'm leading a client, it doesn't matter what I'm leading. I first have to know what they want. Let me tell you something. You walk in my office and you say, hey, I think I'm going to go somewhere else to work. My first question and statement is going to be, that's great. Good for you. Sounds like you've really thought this through. Just so you know, this is what's going to happen if this ever happens. I'm not going to put up any resistance to you, because why would I? Because the moment I try to fight you on what you want to do, you're going to be like, well, let me tell you why. And then I will accept everything that you want, and then I'm going to come back around, and then I'm going to ask questions. That's it. I'm going to ask questions. And the questions are always going to be in relationship to what they really want. I know that no one walks into my office, or I don't go out on an appointment, or someone is selling their home on their own. They're not doing it by going, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do because it'll really even further screw up my life. so that's what I'm gonna do. No, at that moment, they believe that what they're doing is the right thing. No matter what it is, buyer, seller, agents, loan officers, doesn't matter what, kids, they actually believe at that moment that what they're doing. So why would you fight at that moment? Whether it's, again, expired, FSBO, internet lead, whatever they're doing, just give them the acceptance that it's okay that what they're doing is okay. So it might be that statement we talk about. If I were you, I'd do the same thing. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. If I were you, I don't blame you one bit for the path that you're taking today. Totally makes sense. And all of a sudden, when you do that, you've accepted me. I've accepted. I'm not, and just remember the difference between accept versus agree. Jay, you have kids, right? How many kids do you have? I can't remember. Three. Do you agree with all of them, what they're doing every day, every moment? Andy, do you agree with everything your kids do? Okay. Now, another word we might put up here, when I'm talking business, I say accept, but Andy, do you love them no matter what they think? You love them no matter what, Jay? Do you accept them no matter what? When we're at our best, we can accept someone when we don't even agree with them. Hence, a for sale by owner. Do we agree that a for sale by owner should be selling on their own? I don't know, maybe, but I still, no matter what, maybe not. And probably not. So I don't have to agree with you, but I gotta accept you. Hence the reason, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. You wanna reduce resistance? Accept them. And remember, the key word is I'm saying, if I were you, I'd do the same thing too. Meaning, I accept you. Whatever you're doing, it's okay. And the moment that you do that, then you are able to do the question, and you can simply start off with, let me ask you this. And that's where you will go. Let me ask you this. Lisa, let me ask you. Because they'll answer the question because they know you accept them. And it's not that I'm trying to ever manipulate someone, although it might feel like it is. My intention is to do the one thing. Get them what they want. That's it. It doesn't matter, again, whether it's an interlead, for someone, expired, it doesn't matter, sphere. My whole objective is to get you what you want. And if I do that, and I accept you for whatever at this moment you've decided to do, well, then you'll answer my questions. Because you're open, because I've accepted you. So the key to being a great leader, again, is to get people to focus on the right stuff. But the only way you're able to do that is to accept them and then lead them by a series of questions. Hence, great salespeople ask more questions. And in the midst of that, this is not new for some of you, because I've put this up here before for many years, but just as a reminder that if this was a spectrum of leadership, on one side of it, you're right, you have to be bold, and on the other side of it, you have to nurture people, and you have to love people, or be kind to people, or be gentle to people. And all of those factors are critical. And 95% of your time is going to be over here. But the problem is that some of you are not bold, direct, in your face, in your grill, telling you how it is. And the problem is that you think you can just love people, or you can be just nice to people, nurture people, be gentle to people, and you'll lead them into contracts, and I promise you, you will not. And they will think you are weak because you are so nice, because you don't have enough boldness and directness to ask the tough questions, to make the tough statements. And so the challenge is again, can you create the artistry of going, okay, where should I, what is my job in the sense of what I should get them to focus on? Okay, if that's the case, if I want them to focus, I better know what they want, because I cannot effectively confront another human being effectively if I don't know what they want. So do you really know what your clients want? Do you really know what your team wants? Do you really know it? And if you know it, then you can start asking questions. But in the midst of asking those questions, you have got to lead, which is, this is all leadership, but you have to make sure there's moments of boldness and a lot of nurturing, kindness, gentleness, and allowing people to move through the process. Again, treating everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their life. Okay. With that, people often say, well, what questions would you ask? Well, that goes back to help me understand, share with me. But the moment that they feel no resistance for you and they feel your acceptance, they essentially will answer almost anything for you. Here's the key. The internet lead, the for sale by owner, the expired, notices of default, wherever you are calling people where there's high levels of resistance, if you can break through that resistance, you will almost have no competition. The majority of my career, I would go out and I would list a for sale by owner, and I would come back to the office and I would have agents come up to me through the day or that week and say, how did you get that? I've called them so many times. And all it was is I accepted them, reduced all the resistance, they started answering my questions, and I helped them self-discover the stupidity, truly, of them staying the course as a for sale by owner. I wasn't forcing them. I wasn't manhandling them. I wasn't carrying my side piece, so they for sure signed a contract. They signed it because they wanted to, because they self-discovered the stupidity of what they were doing. Because I gave acceptance. Even though I didn't agree with them, I accepted them, and they felt that and they knew that. So there shouldn't be this much confrontation going on. If you are finding that your prospecting is confrontational, if you are finding that your appointments are confrontational, if you are sitting there trying to, well, I'll just be really nice to them, eventually they'll sign, eventually they'll write that contract, eventually they'll put an offer in on that deal, it is almost always because you are trying to be so nice, and yet what is interesting is you also are becoming a doormat because you are not being bold and direct. But the boldness and the directness has so much to do with the questions you ask. It's not just statements, it's the questions you ask. And the questions come and are powerful because you, again, know what people want. Again, this applies to whether it's sales, whether it's your kids, whether it's a spouse or a partner, your friends. It's the same principle. So just think about this. I just want to close with this. How persuasive are you? Think about this. How persuasive are you? How much influence do you really have? Do you have a path that if you're speaking, conveying a message, asking questions, going through the sales process, how persuasive are you? Because I can promise you, it has so much to do with what I'm talking about here. And if you'll wake up to the idea that you can be more persuasive, and if you will learn the skill sets like this to do so, you will have more influence. And the more influence you have, the more money you'll earn. It's that simple. So remember that every time you see a leader that has any level of following, the good ones or even the bad ones, even the good ones or the bad ones. In fact, I think it was you and me, we were talking about different leaders, and I said, what was great about Hitler? And Aubrey said, well, he was obviously a great speaker. You ever seen that guy speak? Screaming from the rooftops, frantically at the front of the room. I'm sure people are like, oh, wow, that's a great plan. Well, obviously we know it wasn't, but man, he was persuasive. Like in the most powerful of ways to get an entire group of people to do some really evil crap. Like, wow, persuasive. So remember, by the way, that's why you have a great stewardship, because it's all about your intentions. And what do you intend to do for people, and for the people you serve, for the people you love, for the people you help direct, because there is a tremendous stewardship that you each have. But the reality is that every single person who leads has a following. So what is it that they have done to get people to follow them? And if you're missing pieces of leadership, look around and see what others are doing and try to replicate it and try to do the things that you're seeing people are doing that persuade people, not by force, Not by feeling like, it's a knife point or gun point that they have to do what you're telling them to do, but they're doing it because they choose to do it because of the power of the questions. They self-discovered the pathway. It's not, people don't walk into my office and I just tell them they're wrong. They come into well, maybe just Jason, only Jason. But they walk in, and yes, I may go at them initially. Like, we will banter back and forth for a moment. But at the end of the day, it is still going to be the power of questions. Because the only way that is long lasting is them self-discovering the answers on their own. So that a buyer or a seller doesn't have buyer or seller's remorse when they sign a contract with you. It is the power of those questions. But here's the thing. Now I'm going to officially close. It's only 8:36. We're good. Here's the last thought for you. Just remember, somehow I think we forget that we're a leader. Sometimes we forget that it's like you remember, some of you are older, remember Charles Barkley when he said, and we were talking about this too, but I'm no one's role model. Does anybody remember? Andy, you remember that? And the thing that's so funny is I actually believe that he has changed. And I told Aubrey, I'm just going to repeat it. It's a quick story. We're in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. We're flying down there. We're going to go to some baseball stuff for Isaac, and I've got my two sons there, and there we are, and he's just come off of, probably whatever it is, TNT, whatever he's on, and he's just been on the TV, and he's there in the airport, and we're getting our baggage, and all of a sudden, Charles Barkley shows up, and he's just standing there waiting for his baggage. And I went up to him, and I said, hey, would you mind us taking a picture with my two sons? Of course, he was so gracious and so kind. I thought to myself, here is this you knew anything about his basketball. This guy was one of the most bold, intense, brutal basketball players probably of all time. And what was crazy is how nurturing, kind, and gentle he was at that moment. And he put his arms around my two sons and a big smile. And they were so excited because, they knew who he was. It was when people actually watched the NBA. And so they knew who he was. And so my point to you is, man, no matter where you are, you're leading. And so the thing I think that is really interesting is that there's people who want to resist being a leader. They want to resist and say to themselves they don't really have anybody to lead. And yet, statistically, in fact, I remember it was a stat in one of the books, I can't remember which one it was, of John Maxwell, but he talked about the power of influence. Right? No matter who you are, no matter how powerful or weak or strong or awesome, whatever you sit and you say, man, what kind of leader am I? You will influence over 10,000 people in your lifetime. Even if you don't try to, that many people will be influenced by your leadership, meaning your presence, your words, how you show up, what you say, what you do. And the thing is if you will just remember that each one of you are a leader. And that's why I've said for years, the world isn't going, oh man, this is so good. We got a salesperson. We need another salesperson in this world today. No one's saying that. But they are saying that they need another leader. And they need more leaders. And people who will lead people. So just don't forget that when you're selling real estate, you're leading. When you're with your family, you're leading. When you're with your friends, who's the leader? The leader of the pack. And not because you're trying to fight with people to lead against who's the leader at that moment. No, I'm not talking, who's leading? So it doesn't mean you have to say everything. Sometimes the most intense and craziest and strongest leaders are just the people who are the most silent. Have you noticed what you're in a listing presentation? Oftentimes the person who says the very least is the strongest leader. It's not just because you have to talk to lead. Sometimes just your presence is enough. I had my own daughter tell me I have to say things and speak to her friends because I scared them because I didn't want to say anything, Jade. Because I liked scaring these boys away from my daughter. So I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be quiet. Scared them, but it's still leadership. Still intimidating, still scary. Okay, so just again, where are you going to show up as a leader? In your family, in your community, in this business? Remind yourself you're a leader. And if you'll remember that, you'll just approach every other part of it different, because you go, I'm a leader. I lead people. I get people to focus on the right stuff. Oh, and how I do this, I ask them first I figure out what they want, but I gotta ask them questions to find that out. And then I find out what they want. Now I can confront them by other questions. Oh, and then sometimes I'll have to be really bold and I'll have to nurture them along the way. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna help them get what they want, because I am a what? Leader. And if you'll remember that, I can promise you, you will have so much fun, you'll have so much more fun making money. But the second part is you'll have so much more success, and you'll make more money, and you'll have more influence, and you'll make a bigger difference. And sometimes, again, I think we forget what we're really doing today. Again, the world is in need of leadership, not just another salesperson who's trying to make a buck. Lead people, guide them, direct them, navigate them by the power of the questions, but first importantly, by the set of your intentions. I got to figure out what they want. And then ask questions. And man, if the pathway they're going down is going to get them what they want, then all you are is a person helping them celebrate the fact that they're getting what they want. You are one of their greatest cheerleaders and champions for their cause. But if they are going off the edge of a cliff, man, if you will connect with them by the power of your questions, and they will allow you to lead them because they know you accept them and love them and care for them, they will let you do anything to help them. That's leadership. That's why there's opportunities out there everywhere in this business of real estate and sales and lending, whatever it is you're doing, because the opportunities are there for anyone who's choosing and willing to lead. So remember, your leadership is in direct correspondence to the income and the money you're earning. Okay, thoughts, comments. I mean, I've waved from maybe a little mindset to a lot of skill sets. I know we didn't practice them, but man, if just all you do today is, I am a leader. Start acting like one in your families and in this business, because you are one. Okay, Brenda Lee, and then anybody else has a comment, and we'll wrap up.
I love this percentage, and it reminds me about the personality styles, and I think that's why expressives and amiables are so successful. Because it's easier for us, I think, because I'm in that category, to be bold and direct when we need to. But I think if you're a driver, it's harder, I would think, to be over to that other side, because you go in like a powerhouse.
Yeah. And
that will sometimes offend people and get them on the defense. So I am grateful I'm on that side, that I can be in the 95% and really need to work on being,
more bold,
hey,
right?
This is what we need to do.
This is what we're doing. This is where we're heading, folks.
But it's easier for me to be that route. So I
came out of the womb this way, right here. It took me a long time to be nice.
Well,
right? Hence I married Mary Poppins, or Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, because she's everything that I'm not. Nice,
that's good.
sweet, tender, beautiful, all the things I'm not, right?
That's awesome.
I mean that sincerely, right? That you, in fact, oftentimes you find the person in your life that is everything you're not. And then sometimes we want to change them into who we are, and that is the best, worst, or the worst thing we could ever do. It's the worst thing. Some of you are very bold in this room and have relationships in your life that are the most beautiful ones, and you're trying to change them into you, and the worst thing you could do is try to change them into you. You don't want to marry you, you want to kill the person because they're like you too much. Marrying me, you know what maintenance that would cause in my life? That'd be a bad deal, Dave. We don't want to marry me. I'm high maintenance.
This is a great message, so I think we all need to take it to heart and really listen
Yeah.
to how we're relating to others.
I think so much, again, is just reminding yourself who you are. When someone shows up in front of you, are you the leader they're looking for? And guys, we all come in different sizes, forms, right? Male, female, whatever. See, that's scary to say that today. You can't say that without, I just kidding. Sorry. To make my political statement today, Jason. All right.
Hey, George.
Yes, please comment.
Yeah, comment. How you just dropped the mic today. Super awesome. Secondly, you're the one that really instructed me how to balance that challenging and inviting mixture, and that goes back to that's a skill set you have to develop, especially for us drivers. And so thank you for that. Thank you for that guidance. And hands down, I would love the recording of today's morning message. So if you guys can get me that would be awesome.
Okay. Ruby's giving the thumbs up that it's recorded, so we'll get it out. I'll tell Audrey to get it out. That'd be great. Okay?
Yep, awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Al. Jay, any thoughts, comments?
No.
Nothing?
I'm good.
What about a takeaway? Give me a takeaway, because I saw you taking lots of notes. What's your takeaway today?
I need to become more of a leader.
Yeah.
Or
Well, you are a leader, Jay. It's just you remembering that you are. So many of you, I've known you for so many years. I mean, it's such a gift and a blessing. In fact, I was telling Dave this. I've gotten less concerned about what I'm earning and what I'm doing. I'm so interested in who I'm around. That matters more to me than anything we do today, who we are around. But again, just remembering that you're a leader, because you guys are all leading. Just, I think we all do. I forget. And when you remember, man, you act differently. You move differently when you remember. Greg, and then we need to have a comment, and then Aubrey, and then let's wrap
My
up.
takeaway is when you were on FISBOs, and you said it's probably right for them to list with us. And to me, that means go into it with an attitude of, it may be to your advantage to be with us. Let's explore options
Right. Maybe I may be wrong.
instead of
But, and Greg, I prospect that way. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't make any sense. And so I remember years ago, Dave Stokoe started realizing, of course, many of you know, who was his life was taken, and he would say, you always use the word possibility. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they shouldn't be with me. I don't know. I haven't asked enough questions. The thing that's so cool is that when you're in that space and that energy, you're so open because you're so accepting that they answer any of your questions because you're just open. You're okay with whatever the answer is. You're okay if they don't want to buy. You're okay if they don't want to list. It's all okay. I just want to get you what you want. And maybe it's not to work with me, but if it is, let's see if that works, because no one's going to be better at doing it than me.
Well, even a part of our scripts, maybe I'll take your listing, maybe I won't. And they're
Correct.
like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last thing. Audrey, let's go.
I was listening to Tony Robbins talking about really just lead yourself first before you lead.
Yeah.
If your influence doesn't stop with you can't lead anybody else.
I'll agree. So beautiful, by the way. That's such a great statement. What happens if you love and accept yourself for who you are and what you are? What happens if you get yourself to focus on the right stuff? You come back and get real clear on what you want. You start asking yourself a bunch of questions that get you even more dialed in to focus on the right stuff, go the right direction. Sometimes you're bold with yourself. I'm not talking to being abusive to yourself, but you love yourself, care for yourself, nurture yourself, but you're bold with yourself. Think if you just do that with you, where would you be? Confronting yourself. It's a beautiful thing. It's really good. Okay, all right, let's roll, guys. Thank you for being here. It's gonna be a great rest of the week. Finish strong. Make money, talk to people. That's what we're doing. All right, here we go. I succeed because I've got my goals. I'm an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know what's important to me. I'm real estate. I'm passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. I like asking questions and listening. I enjoy reading to improve my sales skills. My thoughts, think my emotions, actions, results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful and persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I am happy. I love investing because it feeds my business. I see my future is awesome. I love my life. I am grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs and options to succeed daily. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I am disciplined and accountable to my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I'm confident in my sales skills. I know my destiny. I'm healthy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm unstoppable. I keep positive, excited, confident,